When I started working with people that were in the Illuminati, that wanted out, that were that were sharing information with me and everything, I thought at the time that the therapists were taking care of them. And they would tell these victims of mind control that they were getting better. These people thought, well, this is great, I'm getting better. The therapist liked it because they were supporting themselves, they were making good money. And the Illuminati was liking it too because they were continuing to use these slaves. And people don't understand how sophisticated this is. In looking at how they have designed this mind control, the engineering and thinking that's gone into it, in my opinion, far surpasses what was put into the Apollo project. For everything that you're going to flippantly come up with, I'm sure that they have thought of at least a dozen, if not many more, ways to circumvent you being able to undo the programming. For instance, many of the altars are dehumanized and told they don't have a heart. So if you tell them to give their heart to Jesus, that's not going to have any meaning. You may very easily trigger a number of things to happen. One is that a deaf and dumb altar may take the body and they will not even hear you. Or if you're saying something like Jesus loves you, they hear Jesus hates you. Some of them I couldn't tell them about it because, as I've been trying to get across to you, if you start working with some of these people, it's a very delicate thing, and you could trigger suicide programs. Reality is far from what we have seen, people, and their technology is far beyond what they have allowed us to see. They are only releasing technology at a rate that they want to. If you invent something that's way beyond its time and helpful for mankind, it will be suppressed. But one of the mind-controlled slaves that I've spent time with, she was programmed at a particular point in time to invent a particular invention. And then other people were programmed to form a company around that. And so what people see as random are actually working to are very specific and very controlled parts or elements of a plan. If we go back in the occult world around the 1810, plans to bring in a new world order. And they listed a number of things back at that point in time that needed to happen for a new world order to occur. They needed to build the Suez Canal. They needed to build a canal in the Panama Isthmus. They needed to make the countries interdependent, which is something that H.G. Wells in his New World Order also spelled out, and they have done that. These are some of their plans for the future. If we look at Albert Pike, we'll find that he talked about 3 world wars that would be created to bring in the New World Order. We have a nuclear war planned. If you look at what Fema is setting themselves up for, about 80% of their activity and money is going into preparing for a nuclear war. They have already moved a lot of the first contingents of foreign troops into the United States. Some of you, I'm sure, have seen the maps where that they came up with years ago, where they had planned out which foreign nations would send troops to what regions of the United States. They don't want Americans patrolling American regions for the New World Order. Why, they might be too loyal to their American civilians. Okay, we've got 3 lists: the red list, the blue list, the yellow list. One of my friends decided to follow the blue splotches, markers that they've put on these road signs, and strangely enough, it led them to a site that shouldn't have had barbed wire, but it did, and looked like it had been built for the purpose of being a concentration camp in the future. Yes, that's what these lists are all about. Perhaps the scenario that will happen to round up people on the red list will go like this. And this comes from a man who was the inspector for the Joint Chiefs of Staff of these concentration camps. There may be an electrical blackout at night. If you have an electrical blackout, watch out. It might be a cover for them coming for the red list. And then people like these Russians who are hiding. They have these the names. They will come at 4 a.m. They'll pull you out of your house, and they will take you in a van, take you to like a cul-de-sac where helicopters flying in that are black. They're flying off of their regular system navigation, will take you to sites and then take you to locations where you will be terminated. And of course then are their plans, their long-range plans of what they're going to do with this planet. And eventually it seems like they want to move things to Australia as the center of things. If you will look at things right now, the mother country of the Illuminati is England, and the center of England is London. But there are two different Londons. Maybe you are not familiar with that. There is a small enclave within Greater London, which is also called London, but it's the financial district, and it is called the City of London, which is controlled by the Illuminati. It's set where that financial district can have financial transactions because of the way the time zones are set all around the world within one day. It's the only location in the world where they can conduct from one particular point transactions with all the world's financial markets. And that area of the world has been like the center point for the Illuminati for a long time. But what I'm saying is eventually they hope to move that. Now, those of you who have read the report from Iron Mountain, you know that they created 3 pseudo-wars as a substitute for an actual fighting war, and that those 3 wars are being implemented today to keep us in a state where they can have all kinds of laws to control us. And those 3 wars are the war on the environment, the war on drugs, and then, of course, their plans to create a mock alien invasion. Somebody very high up in the New World Order has talked about piloting the flying saucers. Yes, the United States government has flying saucers, and before he considered that the beings that were co-piloting these flying saucers were aliens. But then when he took a second look and realized these were demons. It's rather interesting. I have tape recordings of some of the aliens talking. They send shivers up my back. And what's further interesting is these people are saying, these aliens, that they have been around for something like 500,000 years. And I'm thinking, when do we give these aliens resident status? They also plan to do a lot of activity with the asteroids, mining them, a lot of activity on Mars, and I can guess I can get myself into more trouble on this videotape by talking about something that's controversial, the Mars colony, which has slaves up there. They've already brought the New World Order into reality there on Mars. They haven't quite brought it into total fruition here on Earth. And in my 93 newsletters, I pointed out prior to the spacecraft that was to go there in 93, I gave a list of American and Russian spacecraft that had been sent to Mars. If you think back on things, if you're my age, you'll remember that when I was a child, the big issue was, is there life on Mars? Well, after sending many spacecraft to Mars, and some of these cost billions of dollars, scientists still tell us they don't know whether there's life on Mars. And if you look at that list, I listed the spacecraft that had gone to Mars. They all malfunctioned. Very strange.